My ex-wife is getting in my head and making me go crazy. Warning, very, very long read. I would greatly appreciate it if you read through this whole thing. Backstory, my wife and I have been together for 14 years. We lived together in Seattle. She is from New York and I'm from Seattle. In 2020, her father was getting up there in age and his health was declining, so she made the decision to go back to New York to help take care of him. I wasn't happy about that. I gave her a hard time leading up to the move and during it. When we arrived to New York, I was much worse and distanced myself from her. She didn't like that. I didn't want to be there so much that when I'm going back to Seattle every 3-4 months and spending 4-5 weeks there at a time. She didn't like that either. When I am in Seattle, I am typically every busy. My day consists of waking up, go to work, go to the gym, after work go home, shower, eat dinner, go to bed. By the time I am settling in and getting ready for bed, it is around 9 p.m. With a 3-hour time difference, that would make it midnight out there and barely give me any time to talk to my wife at all. Again, she didn't like that. One day, she sat me down and told me that she wanted to separate. When I asked why, she cited the reasons I just listed. At this point, I am devastated. I realized that my selfish actions led to me losing the most important thing in my life, my marriage, and the guilt of that is eating me up inside. Here is where the abuse starts. We went to Seattle together in August. One day she told me that her friend is pregnant and she's staying over there to help take care of her. 3-4 days comes around and I am wondering where she is and texting her, calling her, begging her to come home. A few days later, she finally comes home and I was so overwhelmed that I hugged her and cried. We go to California together and spend about a week there and come back to Seattle. She says she needs to take care of her friend again and leaves for another week. One night, I was in the living room watching TV and she was sleeping in the bedroom. I got thirsty and didn't feel like going to the kitchen to get something to drink. The bedroom is closer to me than the kitchen and my wife always has a bottle of water on the nightstand next to her, so I go over there instead. There her phone was out in the open and I see the messages between her and another guy. I find out where she really was while she was gone. When I confront her about it, she told me that the attention that I wasn't giving to her, this guy happened to come along and was able to give it to her. It hurts not only knowing where she had been all this time, but she saw my emotions when she was gone and when she came back, but still chose to leave again. One night we were having dinner, and I was talking to her trying to convince her not to separate. This was before I found out that she was cheating. Keep in mind that I was consumed by the guilt of what I had done. She said that she was not changing her mind and kept telling me everything I did that led to this. Throughout dinner, she kept telling me that I destroyed my marriage and it was my selfish actions that caused everything to fall apart, and she hopes that I learned from this. Remember that I was already upset as is, but everything she said just made it worse. I completely lost my appetite and couldn't even finish my dinner. Soon after, I move out of New York and back to Seattle. Even though we're separated, we agreed to end on good terms and hope to remain friends. Our anniversary is coming up and we talked about maybe flying her out to Seattle to do something nice. She says that while she is out there, she might as well go see the other guy too. I asked her if she is serious and she responded that it would be a wasted trip if she flies all the way out to Seattle without seeing him. Obviously, I am completely offended by what she said. I told her don't bother, and when she asked why, that offended me even more. I couldn't believe that she doesn't see why that would be considered disrespectful, and I had to explain that to her. Obviously, she gets mad and we take a break from speaking. A few days later we talk again and we eventually agreed that I go to New York to celebrate our anniversary. I go in there and I notice that all of the pictures that has me in it are taken down. Instead, they are replaced with pictures of her new guy and they are everywhere. When we were in California, we were in the car and I told her to put on whatever music she wants on. All of a sudden she puts on these random love songs and she normally doesn't listen to them. I commented that she normally doesn't listen to this type of music and she says that she feels like listening to it now. This was the same music that she listened to when she picked me up at the airport in New York, and this is the same music that she listened to when she took me to the airport. Come to find out that this was a playlist that her new guy had made for her. When I told her that this isn't okay, she said that these are just songs that she likes and it's not a big deal. I responded that no, they're not just songs. They are songs that obviously remind her of him, and I'm disgusted that she not only has been playing them while she took me to and from the airport, she played them when we were on vacation together in California. I eventually made her shut it off, but she gave me a hard time about it. It was about an hour-long ride to the airport, so we had a lot of time to talk and discuss things. She admitted that when we were in Seattle together that curiosity got the best of her and she just had to see what happened if she met the other guy. She said that during the time they spent together, he treated her so well that she finally felt what it was like to be happy. She commented that she looks forward to finally being happy because of the way that this new guy will continue to treat her. She also said that if I truly love her, I should want her to be happy. At this point, I feel like I am being belittled. She is rubbing him in my face and it is making me feel insignificant. It makes me feel like I wasn't able to support her. It makes me feel like I'm nothing. I have been talking to her older brother and sister throughout this whole ordeal. I don't know where I would be without them, but they have been there for me and supported me at my lowest point. I found out from her sister that she was planning on coming to Seattle in December and probably wasn't planning on telling me or seeing me. When we lived in New York together, she came with me maybe every 8-9 months or more. She was just here in August and all of a sudden she wants to come 4 months later? Also, when we were planning her coming to Seattle for our anniversary, her plan was coming to Seattle for a week. Our anniversary is on a weekend, so she was planning on getting that out of the way and spending the rest of the week with the other guy. At this point, it is very evident where her priorities are. Even though we are not together, we have also been married for 14 years. This guy doesn't have nearly the history that her and I have, and it hurts watching me being pushed to the wayside for somebody that she's only known for a little over a year. I would also think that if she wanted to continue to remain friends, she'd at least want to see me. At this point, I don't think I can do it anymore. Even though we initially agreed to remain friends throughout this whole thing, she isn't even treating me like one. She is finding all of the parts that are emotionally and psychologically sensitive and just poking at it. It is almost like she is finding some sort of sick joy in doing this to me. I may not have treated her the best for the past few years, but everything I described above was just in the past 2 months alone and, in my opinion, completely overshadow everything that I have done to her. She told me that she loves me and she will always love me, but this behavior isn't love, it's evil. It's gotten to the point where I've already made an appointment to seek a therapist and find professional help. I don't even want to be in Seattle any longer. Everything here reminds me of everything that happened. My wife, her cheating on me, her coming here and not even bothering to care to see me. As much as I would like to keep her in my life, I believe that it may be best for my own sake to cut her off. I hate that I am letting her consume me as much as she has, but I still really care about her and I always will. I just can't believe that somebody that supposedly cares about me is treating me like this. I also found out that she made her new relationship Facebook official since June of 2021. I was with her June of 2021. Her whole family knows this. Her dad also ended up passing November of 2021. I was with her that night. Her whole family was there with us. And she marks it as of June of 2021? What kind of reaction did she think that she was going to get? Thank you so much for reading through all of this, and I just want to know your thoughts here. Update: am I in a shoal for feeling this way? My wife had cheated on me and is currently in a relationship with the other guy right now. Some info about us: my wife is the type of person who always needs to have somebody to talk to. She craves and thrives off of attention. If I go an hour or so without texting her back, she would get annoyed. I am the opposite. While I believe it's nice to have somebody around to talk with, I don't necessarily need it, and I can be perfectly fine if I go a couple of days without talking to or seeing anybody. The other guy is obsessed with her. He wrote her letters telling her how much he loves her, how in love with her he is, how beautiful she is. When she goes a few hours without responding because she's busy with something, he would text her every 20-30 minutes that he misses her and he's thinking of her. He would call late at night, and when she ignores it, he calls again. He got her name tattooed on him. He would regularly buy her gifts. So she goes from having little attention me to receiving a whole lot of it him. We met the other night to have a discussion because she knew I wanted answers. I asked her how she can do this to me, and she said that the truth of the matter was that she didn't feel like our marriage was worth fighting for anymore and she gave up. Why should she continue to put energy towards her husband that obviously isn't reciprocating the effort when there's a guy who is literally throwing attention directly at her? She did what she did so she can finally be happy. However, she still loves me, still cares about me, and wishes me nothing but the best and happiness. She tries to tell me that she wants to see me succeed and hope that my next relationship will turn out better than ours did. If you were to ask me, she was so desperate to try to be happy that she was willing to do whatever it took regardless of who it hurt, and that is selfish as duck. I am going to be honest, I can't say that I wish the same for her. She can tell me the nicest things, paint the prettiest picture for me, wish me nothing but the best a million times, but the fact of the matter is, she gave up on not only our marriage, but on me as well. And while I don't wish any physical harm on her or her family, I do hope that lightning strikes down on them and it strikes them hard, especially the other guy, because he continued to pursue my wife knowing that she was married. She can tell me that she hopes that my next relationship turns out better, but I honestly can't say that I hope for the same thing for her relationship with this other guy. I am very close with her family and they are still in contact with me because they feel for me and they don't believe that they will last at all. I may actually point and laugh if it ends up crashing and burning. She tells me her reasoning was that she wanted to be happy, and if I love her, I should want her to be happy. The truth is, I'm not sure that I can say that I wish for any happiness for her at all. She was telling me about how her life suddenly became a lot more complicated and she barely has any time for herself now because she went from having just me to him and his 2 kids. I would be lying if I said I feel any sympathy for her at all because this is the life that she chose. I also don't wish anything on the kids because they have nothing to do with this. If anything, I may actually find joy in watching her realize how much harder her life is now that she has a full-blown family to take care of, and I don't feel bad for any hardships that come her way at all. Am I wrong for wishing nothing but the worst for her when she tells me she wishes nothing but the best for me? Story 2, girl cheated with me at New Year party. I'm 20 and I'm from Romania, so I'm sorry for any grammatical errors. I was invited by some friends to a little party of 5 people, 3 guys and 2 girls. One of my guy friends has a girlfriend that couldn't come. I only smoke when I am with someone or when I am drunk, and I went out for a cigarette when I was already really tipsy and she was outside too. We started talking and I was asking her questions out of curiosity. 5 minutes before 0 o'clock she pulled my head towards hers and we kissed until 0 o'clock because other friends came out with the champagne. After a bit she started kissing me again. She was really tipsy too, not completely drunk. At 3 o'clock we went all home and she said she didn't want to go home to her parents yet. She is 19 but she didn't like her parents seeing her drunk. We stayed out to talk for 2 hours and she told me things that surprised me. We went to the same high school. She is in her last year and I am in the first year of university. She said, if only I got to know you last year it would have been perfect, you really are a great guy. She even said she saw me a lot on the high school hall. She talked about her life and at 5:30 we went to sleep. She said she had cold feet so she tucked them between mine, pushing her butt on me. She took me hand and let it go over all of her body, and I mean all, so I took initiative with that. We didn't have time-ul intercourse because of circumstances. When we woke up I got her back home and right before arriving I asked her Instagram and guess what I see? She has a boyfriend she didn't talk about. She hugged me and went home. After that I regretted everything I did and I never contacted her because of this. I know it isn't that much of a thing but I hope you liked it. Story 3, me 23M caught my now ex 22F cheating. We still live together. I 23M moved to a new state with my now ex-girlfriend 22F 3 months ago. She graduated college last spring and me the year prior. Our relationship was extremely strong back home, pretty much no fighting. We have met and enjoy each other families, and we were excited to move in together after her graduation. We were almost at our 3-year anniversary. She got a job in a new state, and I work remote so I figured why not? I've been wanting to move out of my home city for a while now, and this seems like the perfect opportunity. We sign a lease together, move in, everything is great. She works in person and has a college friend here, so finding friends for her has been really easy. Me, not so much. I've went to meetup events, downloaded Bumble BFF, and met some of her friends. I realize now that making friends as a working adult outside of a structured setting like college is really difficult. I grow frustrated and lonely, and a little jealous that she's out having fun with her friends. I think the downfall of our relationship really began with my built-up frustration and loneliness, which she feels partly responsible for. She thinks that I moved here entirely for her and has said she feels bad when she's out having fun without me. I think she thinks that I was beginning to grow too dependent on her for my happiness without my own social group. I'll admit, my attitude was very poor and I could see how it was a massive turn-off. Mid-December, she suggests that we go on a break. She suggests that I go back home. I proposed an alternative. Since we were going home for Christmas and New Year's anyways, why don't we just keep our distance then? We'll still hang out occasionally, but not every day, and no texting at a high frequency. That break was 2 weeks, and I thought it went well. We landed back to our apartment a couple days ago and I realized that she didn't feel the same way. She says she isn't excited to see me like before, doesn't like me as much anymore, and wants to stay out with her coworkers and friends instead of coming home. Well, I could see the writing on the wall at this point. I asked if there was another guy involved. She said no. Last night, she officially broke up with me. I wanted to continue living here because outside of this whole situation, I actually have started to enjoy my life more. We decide that we should continue living together but just as friends and roommates. I woke up this morning feeling pretty positive actually. She's still my best friend, and I thought maybe giving her some space as much as I can give while still being her roommate for a month could turn her around. She said today she would be hanging out with a couple of her girlfriends. I come back from a haircut, and I have a sudden urge to check her Apple Watch which she left behind. Let me be clear, I realize I should not have done this. My worst fear and suspicion are confirmed. She has been talking to a coworker before our breakup and appears to have kissed, cuddled, and held hands with him. They're having FaceTime conversations and sending each other texts as if they've been dating for years. She has lied to me about if there was another guy. In fact, she is not out with her girlfriends tonight at all. The coworker got a hotel room and they have spent the entire day and night together. I am most shocked at the speed which she moved on and how she lied to my face. I thought she respected me and our relationship more than that. She's known this guy for only 3 months, and she's ready to just move on that quickly? Good for her I guess? I'm not mad at the guy and I don't think he's the ultimate reason why she cheated and broke up with me. I think he was there at the right place and right time to comfort and listen to her while she was stressed out about my situation. Still, she has been lying to me about the presence of another man. My next steps: tell her I want to break the lease but frame it as I don't want to live with you if I can't be with you, which is true. I need her cooperation to break the lease. I know she cannot afford the apartment on her salary, so we will have to work together to separate financially. She'll have to find a roommate to take my place or move out altogether. However, I want to confront her before I leave. She doesn't know that I know she cheated. I need to hear the truth from her. I feel like I deserve it before we go our separate ways. I'm scared that she'll act irrationally if I confront her before formally breaking the lease. I want everything set and ready to go before speaking with her about the other guy. What do you think is the best plan forward? How should I proceed in detangling our financial life admin status? Feel free to ask clarifying questions if needed. I realize my organization and structure may not be the best. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1. Actually, I think your approach is great. It's really good that you're approaching this cool-headedly. Try your best to cut loose ends, such as financials, lends and payments if there are any you haven't mentioned. If for some reason she doesn't want to do it, that's just another red flag. I'm really sorry for you, can't even imagine how hard it is on you, but clearly she wasn't good enough for you. If there are issues with separating financially, try to talk to the dealerships or estate agency to resolve the problem. If this doesn't work, perhaps try a lawyer. You're in a tough spot, but you definitely did not deserve this. Throwing away a 3-year relationship for a guy she barely knows is dumb in itself, but her lying to you about it, not breaking up earlier, and stating why this has to be like that, alongside resolving your ties, makes her an enormous coward and a parasite. She has practically been living on your money with someone else. Again, I'm really sorry for what you have to go through and what you've already experienced. Hope you can at least get away from her easily and move on. Wish you all the best, man. Redditor 2. How long is left on your lease? Redditor 3. This is why you shouldn't live with a girl you're not married to. Unless the relationship is serious, living together is way too risky. Sure, some people get along fine, but if she's really serious about you, she would have no problem committing to marriage. Lesson learnt: I don't recommend living with just a GF in future. Redditor follow-up. This doesn't make much sense. They were together for 3 years and had no major issues, appearing to be a serious couple. It's far riskier getting married and then moving in together only to realize your lifestyles aren't compatible long term. Then you also have divorce costs to contend with.